Although I've been trying to buy a lot less stuff this year, just curiosity gets the best of me and I can't resist. Like, genuinely, I'm very happy with like tons of products that I already have in rotation. So I don't know why I'm always looking for the next new thing. I guess part of it is just being on social media and wanting to try all the ingredients and stuff. So yeah, I'm just mentioning that because although this is a haul video, I don't want it to come across like I'm encouraging overconsumption or whatever. I definitely would not be buying half of this stuff if I wasn't intentionally just exploring things for the sake of posting. But I'll get straight into the haul, starting off with what I recently purchased from Cult Beauty. And just as an aside, everything that I'm showing you, I'm pretty sure is what I purchased from around January 1st, thereabouts. From Allies of Skin, I got their new Azelaic acid serum, or the Azelaic and Kojic advanced clarifying serum. This features 10% azelaic acid with 1% kojic acid and I think 3% hexylresorcinol. So overall it just seems like a really good blend for like breakouts, redness and skin clarifying, I guess, as the title of the serum suggests. Before I started on Lotion P50, I used to use azelaic acid quite frequently. It was kind of my acid of choice, even though it's not super exfoliating. It was enough to just give me the clarity that I was looking for. I found Lotion P50 much easier to integrate, and even though that doesn't include azelaic, it still seemed to tackle a lot of the issues that I was trying to target. But more recently, I've become curious to see what would happen if I started adding Azelaic on top of Tret and on top of Lotion P50. Historically, I've struggled integrating Azelaic because the textures aren't really that layerable. A lot of them are quite heavy, a bit sticky, kind of pasty. The one that I've most recently enjoyed, I think, is the SVR Flash Ampule, and that's quite easy to use. But I'm hoping some of these newer brands will be able to come up with a more cosmetically elegant formula. Not long ago, I did purchase the Regimen Lab Azelaic acid, which has a little bit more of like a watery, slightly oily texture. But that serum smells so bad that I could barely use it. I'm pretty sure that they since have gone back to fix or try and reduce the scent or odor that serum has, but I was a little bit annoyed that they would release a product and then go back to fix it a few weeks after, because then I'm like, well, I've just bought it, so now you expect me to rebuy it because you released something before it was truly ready. So that made me a little bit salty towards the brand, because it's like, if you're not checking for some level of sensorial impact, then that's not really a completed product, in my opinion. Keeping with the theme of azelaic acid, La Roche-Posay have finally launched their gel cream, the Effaclar AZ or AZ gel cream. I think the packaging is pretty cute on that one. And again, I thought maybe this type of texture in a gel cream could be something that I'd look at integrating a few times a week. I've forgotten the percentage of azelaic. They might not even disclose it. So if I find out, I'll throw it up on screen. If not, we'll just have to see how I go. Now, hydrogel masks have become a bit of a trend on social media. I just randomly saw that Augustinus had released their version. I only bought one because they're $50 each. Again, this was just a stupid throw in the cart thing. I don't even mask that often, but I figured when I do mask, I want it to be a little bit of a treat. So I thought the Augustinus one sounded interesting. Mainly what drew my attention is that they have a lot of claims around redness, and my skin is very prone to redness naturally. So I'm always looking for things to combat that. And lastly, from Cult, I picked up the new Elemis Cherry or Pro-Collagen Black Cherry Cleansing Balm. I had enjoyed using the original Elemis balms, well enough. I haven't used them in a while though, so I kind of just wanted this to be a little bit of a memory refresh. From what I recall, I had some struggles kind of emulsifying and rinsing the Elemis balm, but I really don't remember that well. And the cherry scent just sounded fascinating, and I think the jar packaging looks really nice. When I was shopping at Cult, they were actually running one of their goodie bag promotions. So there's a whole bunch of deluxe samples that came with my order. What I was most excited about, and kind of what pushed me over the edge to actually order, was that this goodie bag came with a full-size freebie of the Medicate Crystal Retinal eye cream. And I've always been curious to try it. So I thought, why not get it as a little bonus? I don't think there's anything else in here that really piques my interest. There's Glow Recipes, St. Paula's Choice, Peter Thomas Roth. Really brands that I'm not that keen on. Moving over to Mecca Beauty here in Australia, and they had a pretty solid release month. The way Mecca works is that they don't historically release products daily or through the month or even weekly. There's typically one day in the month where they do just a huge drop of products. So Shiseido have launched their upgraded Ultimune serum, which is essentially like a hydration serum, but with each iteration, they are upgrading it with a lot of extra technology to make it a little bit more of a well-rounded, like anti-aging, antioxidant product. Again, the packaging looks quite nice. The reason I decided to pick up the new version is that they've added ectoin, which I'm a fan of, and they're also starting to make senescence claims. So there's obviously some level of enhanced antioxidant protection in here that I still need to look into, but enough that piqued my interest. I also picked up the new Ilia Barrier Build Skin Protectant Cream. I opened this one pretty much straight away because they use colloidal oatmeal and a ceramide complex, so it just sounded really nice and protective. I've only used it once, so I have no real feedback to give. But again, these things, I sort of get swept up in the moment when ultimately they end up just being a typical moisturizer. So we'll see, and I'll have to update you when I use it a little bit more. I'm pretty sure it contains 1% colloidal oatmeal, which I think is at least in like a functional amount to actually maybe help and act as a skin protectant. Next up is the Dr. Jart Milky Lotion. I really don't know anything about this. I did not know it was coming. I haven't seen it before. I quite enjoy the Cicapair line from Dr. Jart, but it's like none of those products especially stand out to where I wanted to repurchase. But I like this line, and lately I've been obsessed with like milky toners and stuff, so I'm hoping this is along those lines. But yeah, I really don't know anything about it aside from they use a lot of Cica extracts in this, which Cica I don't find to be a particularly effective ingredient, although there's so much variation in the quality of Cica that's on the market. So again, another one that I'll have to try and then update you on. Next is the Ren Evercalm Sensitivity Relief Mist. Again, another one that I was not expecting. Mecca isn't usually like first with products, and maybe this has been out for ages and I had never seen it, but I feel like this is fairly new. Correct me if I'm wrong. It looks like it has a bit of like a milky texture to it. So again, kind of that milky toner theme, and a bit like the Dr. Jart, like the Ilia, this Ren kind of targets sensitivity, barrier repair, redness, which is very much the theme of my skincare routine. Just because I do use Retinal and as I said, Lotion P50, so I get quite aggressive with some of those products. So everything else needs to be quite gentle. Yeah, again, I don't know anything about this, just that it seems to be a milky lotion in a mist. The ingredients they've touted on the box is white mushroom extract, fermented aloe vera, I said that weird, fermented aloe, and meadow foam seed oil. So, I mean, nothing really grabs my attention there. I just thought I'd try it. Back in January, I also picked up the new Go-To Clarifying Face Hero. So this is like a new face oil designed with a lighter, almost dry oil texture. So I've been using this for a few weeks. Very much enjoy, probably one of the best oils that I've used recently. And I think especially if you're oily skin, congestion prone, great one to check out. So I'll have to talk about this a little bit more specifically in a video coming soon. And also back in January, I picked up the Badescu Repairing Facial Spray with Hypochlorus acid. This is just a straight up hypochlorous acid, no extra ingredient. I've actually enjoyed using this one. I don't know that much about the formulation of hypochlorous, but I know it can be quite unstable. So some of them I feel like I've used and I didn't really notice anything happening. Whereas with this one, I actually feel like it actively calms my skin down. It's just, I guess, the thing with hypochlorous that I'm really not a fan of using it regularly. I don't think we have enough information out there to know how long it destabilizes other ingredients. Like, is it actually true that just letting it dry down for a few seconds is enough to not affect ingredients put on top of it? So yeah, I really only use this sometimes during the day if I'm feeling like a little bit heated, hot, sweaty, whatever it is, just as like an express cleanse. But I wouldn't necessarily use this as part of my general skincare routine unless everything I was using around it was just very, very basic. Popping over to Sephora, and really the only order I placed there is for the Henriksen Apres Multi-Use Rich Rescue Cream. Again, another cream that I guess is supposed to be for barrier repair and skin soothing. I haven't really played around with this one too much, but I expect that it'll start integrating it pretty soon, so I should have an update in the near future. I did notice that Murad have launched their like sensitive skin Skin Soothing collection, I think with Heartleaf. So that'll probably be my next order from Sephora, but I might wait for one of their sales before picking that up. And I can't remember if I mentioned this in any haul videos, but back in January from Sephora, I did get the new Inky List Ecto Serum, which is somewhere on my counters here. I can't be bothered finding it. And also the new Fenty Cherry Cleanser, which is in the back here somewhere. And I really enjoy the Fenty cleanser, so I think they did a good job with that. Hopping over to SpaceNK, and I also haven't shopped too much at SpaceNK this year, or at least up until now. Actually, maybe 2 or 3 days ago, they were running a 20% off sale, so I did order 4 products. They haven't arrived yet. They're in the mail, but I did pick up the Chantecaille 24K Gold Essence. I got the new Fleur Vanilla Smoke, I think it's called. I got the new Sunday Riley Cleanser, and also a Innisfree cleansing oil. So I'll throw those up on screen, but they haven't arrived, so I can't show them to you. But what I did buy at SpaceNK a few weeks ago is the new Sisley Sensitive Skin Soothing Care, which is essentially a lightweight moisturizer. Light-ish, I guess it's not super light where it's a gel cream, it's a true like moisturizer format. But the reason I picked it up is because I'm pretty sure Sisley says this is sterile. So I'm just trying to find that label. It doesn't seem to be labeled on here, but I'm pretty sure they consider it sterile, and that's quite unusual for skincare products because nearly all of them just rely on some preservative system. So if this is sterile, and I'll confirm and then put it up on screen, that's quite a unique thing that you don't see too much. Often it might happen from like a Van, maybe La Roche-Posay. I know Biologique Recherche has a sterile range, and that's just useful because it likely means that it's gone through significant testing to ensure that it's like truly suitable for sensitive skin. And as good as preservatives are, ultimately most of them do have potential of sensitization. So having a sterile product is just good to have if you've truly irritated your skin. It doesn't have to be the Sisley one, I just bought it because it sounded nice. But yeah, a sterile product could be something good to explore if your skin is struggling. When I was buying that Sisley product, so SpaceNK were running a little promotion, so they threw in a full size actually of the Eve Lom Renewal Treatment Oil. I've never tried this. I'm not much of an oil user unless it's sort of a bit more specialized like the go-to product. But considering it was free and I think this is quite pricey, I will of course give it a go. Now next up I have a whole bunch of Chanel, and Chanel is just the brand that like it speaks to my soul, my heart. It's just, I find a lot of brands these days, they're all about fast fashion and nobody's really taking time to develop like a storyline of ingredients or put that much effort into packaging and so on. I think the way Chanel does research, the amount of investment they put into new technology firms is just very inspiring to me. Plus they work with a lot of like niche packaging manufacturers. They grow a lot of their own ingredients, so nobody else in the world can have some of these Chanel plant extracts. So it's just one of those brands that, as all the other brands are accelerating and cutting corners, I just feel like Chanel is still taking their time and creating products with a lot of thought and care. So that's making me love them even more than I already did. Anyway, that's a bit of a ramble for no reason. There we have like an esthetician or like a famous facialist here in Australia called Melanie Grant. I think she operates out of London and maybe Los Angeles as well, but she has an actual clinic that acts as a retail store. They were doing a little bit of a clearance on brands that they probably aren't stocking anymore, and Chanel was part of that clearance. So there are a handful of products that actually got for 50% off. So getting half price on Chanel is like winning the lotto in a way. So I'm just going to quickly run through the products that I picked up from Melanie Grant, and these are the ones that were part of the promotion. First, I got the Sublimage L'Essence Fondamentale, however you say it. So this is part of the Sublimage range where they kind of celebrate, the signature vanilla ingredient. This serum, without saying it directly, kind of targets senescent. So I believe it's designed to both protect cells but also remove cells that have become senescent. So again, I'm not too sure on the literal science of if that's possible with a topical product, but I just really enjoy the Sublimage range, and I find that they just always make my skin feel amazing. And I've been very curious to buy this serum. It's just extremely, extremely expensive. And I did notice on the website maybe a few weeks ago, this had disappeared, which made me think Chanel was in the process of discontinuing it. And lo and behold, they did end up getting rid of it entirely. So this one I don't think is available anymore. They've replaced it with a new serum that I'll talk about in a second. But I'm glad I picked this up at a discount so I could at least try the original formula before moving on to the new one. So from Melanie Grant, I also got the Chanel Le Lift lotion. So this is just a watery lotion, a bit like a toner. It has a slightly gelled effect. I'm pretty sure the Le Lift line uses Chanel's Botanical Alfalfa, which if memory serves, it's kind of what Chanel considers to be their plant alternative to retinol. They don't, as far as I know, they don't actually make those claims anywhere. It's just what I've heard through the grapevine. And again, a lotion I'm not sure will do very much except for some hydration. But I actually love when alcohol is featured in toners like this, and I'm pretty sure this does have alcohol in it. So that refreshed skin feeling I enjoy, which is why I bought it. I'm fairly sure Chanel is going through a process of upgrading their entire skincare line, and Le Lift hasn't been touched in several years. So I imagine we'll be seeing new products released in the nearish future, probably at some point this year, that might replace this entire collection. I also got the Le Lift Pro Moisturizer. So this is a little bit different to the regular Le Lift. I'm fairly sure the feature ingredients in Le Lift Pro is like an enzymatic honey or something along those lines. Interestingly, the Le Lift Pro line, the whole collection doesn't have fragrance. So it's the only collection from Chanel aside from their sensitive skin cream that doesn't use fragrance. I already have the serum of this in my rotation, and there's a mask that they make in this line that I absolutely love. So this cream I've opened and have started using. I haven't found it to be too noticeably special, so I definitely prefer the mask of this collection. But I was curious to try it, and I will definitely finish this jar. And lastly, from the Melanie Grant sale, I got the Sublimage L'Extrait de Creme. I'm so sorry with the pronunciation. Now this I'm a little bit salty about, because when I was browsing the Melanie Grant website, the picture they had on the website was of the new formula in the updated packaging, but they actually shipped out the old formula. Now I'm not so surprised, because obviously I was shopping at clearance, so why would they be clearing out a product that is brand new? But I just find it highly misleading for them to show photos of something that they weren't actually selling. The name I'm pretty sure is the same, so potentially there was some confusion there. I probably should have or could have returned it, because even at half price, this is still crazy. I think it was over $500 maybe, thereabouts anyway. But I guess in some ways I'm not too mad having the old one, because I will probably buy the new version soon. So at least that way I'll be able to confirm what the texture is like, what any different effect I might experience and that sort of thing. But yeah, I was just a little bit disappointed, because I thought I was really catching a bargain, and then they really played me. Now back in January, and again I might have mentioned this in an Instagram reel that I've posted but I can't remember, I did also pick up the Hydra Beauty Camellia Repair Mask. So this is quite a waxy kind of barrier repair product that leaves a very obvious layer on the skin. I really enjoy using it as like an overnight mask, because that layer does feel very nourishing and protective. So this is really good, and I think it probably deserves more attention. And also back in January, or whenever this was released, maybe very end of December, I got the new Red Camellia cream. So this is quite a lightweight moisturizer, but it has a type of enveloping texture that feels kind of cocooning and silky. So again, this is another one that I've absolutely loved using, especially as a morning moisturizer when I want a bit of like sensorial like fragrance in there. I still use Build Skincare B Cream pretty much daily, but every once in a while I just want to mix that up. And this has become a very welcome addition to my morning routine. Now, just last week, Chanel launched a whole bunch of new products. So literally the day after they came out, I drove to the boutique and had to get them. Originally, I went there to just buy a cleanser, but I'm uncontrollable when there's newness. So I left with like all of the new skincare products, or at least I think all of the new skincare releases. What really caught my attention was the Eclat Premier Bright Milky Essence. So this is the new essence from Chanel that I believe will be replacing what they used to have as the Leblanc line. Originally, I thought this was just a repackaging of the Leblanc essence that they had that was kind of a watery toner with a bit of like a luminizing effect. but this is an entirely new product with a much like richer texture. And now it's a little bit more functional. So it actually includes niacinamide. There's like a brightening plant extract. I opened this straight away, started using it straight away. Absolutely love it. It's one of the nicest like milky toner textures. It's not really a toner texture at all. It's very much like a fluid moisturizer. It's quite thick. So I'll have to do a dedicated video on this to talk it through a little bit more because I'm a big fan. And as part of that launch, they also brought out a La Mousse cleanser, which I assume is also replacing the LeBlanc cleanser. Originally, I was a bit concerned with this because it has the type of shaving foam texture that Chanel La Mousse cleanser already has. And I find that cleanser to be a little bit drying. And although this cleanser feels similar, they have updated some of the surfactants and hydrating ingredients. So it's able to combat a lot of the drying feeling that I experienced from some of the other Chanel cleansers in a tube like this. I've actually become quite a fan of this one, which I did not expect. It does have a little bit of a moisturizing kick to it, but I tend to use it in combination. I tend to use it at nighttime where my routine is a little bit richer anyway, so that doesn't bother me too much. So far the first two products in the Clutch Premier line have been big hits for me. And to finish off the skincare portion of this video and continuing with Chanel, they did launch a new Sublimage Le Serum. So this, I assume, is replacing what this one was. The ingredient extracts overlap quite a lot. I haven't opened this one yet. It's still sealed and I don't want to open it to show you until I'm ready to use, but I'll throw up a picture on screen. It's basically the pinnacle of Chanel skincare and utilizes nearly all of their key extracts in the Sublimage line. So yeah, I'm very excited to get to this when I can. And lastly, for skincare, also part of the Sublimage line, I got their new La Masque. So as I said earlier, Chanel are going through a little bit of an upgrade of most of their skincare products. I'm pretty sure Le Lift is next. They probably need to get to Hydra Beauty at some point. Right now, it seems to be like they're focused on Sublimage. So I'm pretty sure they've updated most things. I'm not sure if there's anything else being changed in the line. The mask they had in their lineup for years and years, so it probably was time for an upgrade. I haven't actually looked into formulas too much. I think maybe they've loaded a new one up with a few more ceramides and actual barrier care ingredients. So I'm really excited to try it. I haven't opened it yet, so again, I won't show you. But so that is my whole Chanel haul. And really, Chanel is one of the very few brands that I'm checking constantly. Using their products just makes me really happy. I think they're true experts in the sensoriality of skincare. And as I said earlier, the fact that other brands are moving so quickly, it makes me appreciate these slower brands a little bit more. So that's everything on the skincare side. Now I'm moving into what I picked up in fragrances over the last couple of months. And I am very much still in my obsessed fragrance era. So there's quite a few here. So it's getting a little bit loopy and I definitely need to slow down. I'll start off with an easy one. It's the Prada L'Homme range. So these have been around for a few years, but I only just discovered them. I kind of wrote this off initially as if it would smell like all of the other like general designer brands. But to me, this has quite a special smell. It's like very powdery, a little bit floral. So yeah, I don't have much to add here. It's just one of those easy throw on like professional scents, but doesn't smell as generic as a lot of the other like male targeted fragrances out there. Now, when I was out to buy that, I couldn't decide which one I actually wanted because they also make an intense version. The intense version smells a little bit like rich, a little bit sweeter, maybe a touch warmer. So I guess I figured I'd use the original more as a spring summer scent and this one potentially fall winter. Or maybe even in the evening. But I just really like this fragrance DNA, so I ended up buying them both. Just to throw in a quick, more niche fragrance house is Acro, and this is Awake, which is basically a coffee scent. I only bought the very small size, so I think this is 10 ml as like a trial, because I really love smelling coffee scents. It's just I don't know if I want to smell like coffee, so I thought I'll buy a small one just to see how it works back with my like skin chemistry and that sort of thing. This is an amazing coffee scent. I think probably the best coffee fragrance I've ever smelled. So I definitely envision myself picking up a full-size bottle. It's just, yeah, I have to decide if I actually want to smell like coffee throughout the day. The coffee is most noticeable in the opening. During the dry down, it ends up being more of a traditional gourmand scent. So you get more of that like, baked cookie kind of smell coming out. And I think this is like truly unisex, maybe even leaning slightly masculine, which for Acro I think is a bit unusual because I'm fairly sure most of their fragrances lean a bit more feminine. And I also picked up just a little trial kit of the Mecca, which is a fragrance house that I'm not too familiar with. They just launched on Mecca. I saw their bottles and I thought they looked beautiful. But yeah, I thought instead of blind buying a full size, I'll just get the small kit. If you have a favorite from this brand, I'd love to hear which fragrance you love. Because yeah, I've only just started exploring. Next up is Blue Talisman from Ex Nihilo or Ex Nihilo, I'm not sure how to say. This brand just launched at David Jones in Australia, so I'm super thrilled. I think they make some of the nicest fragrances around. I already own, I think it's Outcast Blue, and I've just ordered a few samples of some of their other fragrances just to try to see if I want to pick up another full size. But Blue Talisman is one of the best scents I've ever smelled. I absolutely love it. I consider it masterpiece level. The top notes are pear, bergamot, mandarin and ginger, with amber and musky notes in the base. I just find it to be extremely bright, fresh, effervescent, just like all of the like sparkly words. And I don't know, maybe it's the type of scent that is a little bit acquired. If I were to describe it, it's like, when you walk by a hair salon and you get this kind of smell of an amalgamation of all of these different like shampoo brands. So this is what Blue Talisman smells like. It's like 100 different fragrances in that with a fresh fruity vibe all rolled into one. I absolutely love it. I would say it's truly unisex, maybe a touch feminine, but it's definitely not too sweet. So I think everybody can wear it. I also picked up the new Dior Bois Talisman, which I just ordered on their website kind of as a blind buy because the notes sounded interesting to me. Dior did include like a mini sample so that if you don't like the sample, you can return this. And I did try the sample and I was a little bit on the fence. The fragrance reminds me quite a lot of the Maison Margiela by the Fireplace. Not exactly the same, but that kind of like smoky vanilla combo is very much prevalent in Bois Talisman as well. The only thing that like my nose picked up on with this Dior release is that the first few minutes, so maybe the first 15 minutes to half an hour, it smells exactly like pencil shavings. So maybe that's the cedar coming through or whatever woods they're using. It's very apparent and very strong. So that part of the fragrance I actually don't like at all. It's way too woodsy and smoky for me. But then after wearing it on my skin for a few hours, it then turns into this vanilla scent that just has a subtle smokiness, and it's actually the full dry down that I absolutely love. So it puts me on the fence because I don't love the opening of this fragrance, but I love the dry down. So like now I'm unsure how to actually go about using it. Right now we're still at the tail end of summer here in Australia, so there's a bit of a heat wave going on. So probably this scent profile doesn't suit this time of year anyway. I was considering returning, but really as I'm talking through this video and like remembering like how much I enjoyed the dry down, I'm just gonna open it now and keep it. So that's what it looks like. I did just get the 50ml to be safe. Yeah, I think I'll just keep this one and enjoy the dry down when I can. Next up is the Loewe Essentia Eau de Parfum. And this fragrance is very much in the lane of Creed Aventus. Loewe say they've made this using, I think, 200 elements, including red pepper, basil, and tarragon. To me, this smells quite vibrant and fruity at the start, so a lot of their scent explanation doesn't really make sense. But if it is true and they've used so many elements in there, it's probably going to be hard to pick up any individual fragrance profile. It ends up developing into like a quite vibrant green-leaning scent, so a huge fan of it. And if you enjoy Creed Aventus, I can't imagine that you wouldn't enjoy the Loewe Essentia. Next up was a bit of a blind buy, or not a bit, it was a blind buy, the Loewe 001 Eau de Cologne though. The cologne is quite difficult to find. I think they only stock it in selected stores, and I ended up finding it at Selfridges in the UK, and luckily they ship fragrance internationally. So this is what the bottle looks like there. I'm a big fan of cologne edition fragrances, which tend to be quite citrus forward and quite bright. A lot of the colognes I have though, they I don't want to say bitter, but maybe they lean a little bit more like green citrus, whereas this Loewe has a sweetness to it, so it makes it a little bit more unisex, and I did want to find a fragrance that balanced that out. I'm pretty sure the perfumer for the cologne is Quentin Biche, so I think he does some really beautiful fragrances, and I have several of his creations in my collection, so I felt relatively safe buying something that he's made, and I'm glad I did. I absolutely love it. The opening of this fragrance is quite sharp, but then it does settle down to the sweetness, not too long thereafter. Next up is quite a cult classic, the Bulgari, I think it's Legem Tiger, again forgive my pronunciation. That's what the bottle looks like, nicely designed. This is just such a special citrus fragrance that I find it hard to describe because it's quite simple, but it just smells so intoxicating. It's almost like animalic slightly without smelling too funky. And that's like an unusual scent combination with fragrances that typically when it's fresh, you don't also get this kind of like, the notes are based on grapefruit and ginger, amber and patchouli. I find that this does lean quite citrus, which is why I'm such a fan. And I guess those other ingredients just help to kind of ground it slightly. But yeah, this is such a special scent if you enjoy citrus fragrances, but I'll try to get a sample of it as soon as you can. My last addition to the fragrance collection is the Maison Margiela Whispers in the Library. This is another like vanilla woodsy fragrance, but much lighter on the woods than something like the Dior Bois Talisman. I would say Whispers in the Library leans slightly feminine, but it's definitely unisex as it has a noticeable powdery quality to it. It's like softly sweet and ever so slightly medicinal. It's probably going to be my ideal like fall scent. I think maybe Maison Margiela has discontinued it. I'm not exactly sure because Mecca still had it in stock. But I think that's one of the nicer fragrances they make, so I'm not sure why they would get rid of it. I guess maybe By the Fireplace and Jazz Club have a similar DNA profile, but Whispers in the Library is just a little bit more tame than those. Okay, finally reached the end of this haul video, so that's everything that I bought over the last few months. As I said, I'll just stress again, this level of purchasing is definitely not normal, so it's not my intention to make it seem like it is. Just part of being on social media and trying things is, of course, trying lots of different products. So yes, please don't judge me too much. Thank you for watching. Let me know if you have any questions about any of these products. Please don't forget to like and subscribe, and I'll see you in the next video.